And hello, this is Tom, aka Jedian, here with Tabletop Tap Room, and I have a special guest on some more from Wizard Tower Games.
Cheers.
Hey, Don, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Caught you drinking. And hey, already we got people in live chat. Scripted Unchained, DM Bloodworth. Happy holidays to you too, sir. And so today I just thought I was going to do a video, and I was going to do some airing of grievances myself and record it, put it up the usual way. And I got thinking, I bet other people might want to air their grievances. And I was listening to the radio, and they were doing that. Tomorrow is actually Festivus from, I don't know if you remember the Seinfeld episode. Here, let me just play this.
Oh man, I got a sinful admission. I've never watched one episode of Seinfeld. No.
What? That's craziness.
I am a heathen, am I not?
You are.
I am a heathen.
Tammy's in the background. So, well, you know what's funny is when I was volunteering as a scoutmaster in Boston with inner city kids, and I made a Seinfeld reference, they were like, "What is that? Like Friends?" The TV show Friends. And I'm like, yeah, kind of like that, but funnier. So tomorrow was supposed to be Festivus, and they were doing it on the radio. The radio show is not on Saturday, but they were taking everybody's airing of grievances, and they were going to do play the recording on Saturday. And so I thought I would kick this off. I did have some gaming grievances. I mean, obviously the big one that a lot of people probably feel is the what happened with WotC with the OGL, and where they attempted to rescind it, and then it got. They tried to change the story, and then it just got uglier and uglier and uglier. And so that's kind of a, for me, I was greatly concerned over that. But, now they've backed off, and, I'm glad about that. But, man, I was pissed with WotC earlier in the year.
But there's a positive side to that, too, and that is what that incident has demonstrated, I think, and it should demonstrate to the entire gaming community is, we as people tend to say we don't matter. What does my opinion matter? And this incident showed that, number one, not only do these multi-billion-dollar companies listen and pay attention, but we do matter. Because it was the massive outcry by gamers that caused them to back off.
Oh, and that was nice to see.
Yes.
Well, now the interesting thing is that if you want to produce a third-party product, you can do so under the OGL for 3.5 rules. Use the 3.5 SRD.
Yes.
Or you could go and do it under the 5e rules, under the OGL, or under Creative Commons. You now have that choice.
Yes,
available to you. So that is a good piece of something good coming out of something bad, because it really felt like Wizards was trying to bend the whole hobby over the table and have its way with it. And so that definitely was a big grievance. And I was actually going through my files this week, and I was, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And concerning the OGL and concerning a lot of stuff that we've dealt with a certain troll. But so that was one of my big grievances for this year, was obviously the OGL was a huge one. Do you have any big grievances, Dawn?
As far as grievances go, I mean, we have the elephant in the room, of course, that I can't get into deeply. That's one grievance that could be gone on about for for a 5-hour show and not touch the entire thing. But I think my biggest grievance, I think, would be, and hear me out here, because it's going to sound really bad at first, but I think I have a grievance against the general gaming community as in certain elements within it. And my grievance is this: is all the tribalism that happens over gaming. We're all a group of people who love to sit around a table, shoot the shit, have fun, game, enjoy each other's company. But the grievance that I have is with those people within our community that think that you have to play a certain edition of the game in order to be socially right or morally correct, when it's not about that. No matter what, whether you play Back Me, BX, AD&D, or 5e, or any derivative between, there's good and bad in all the communities. And I just really wish, as part of my grievance, that people would realize that and be able to step up and say, you know what? I know that there's guys out there who play 5e who are really good men and women, just like there's really good men and women who play first edition AD&D, and the tribalism that happens within our community, I think, hurts us greatly. It really does. It has caused, I see it every day in gaming groups. You always have that one person who has, you could have a topic about gaming and it's going great. People are having fun. And you got that one or two people have to come in and they begin.
And then it's edition wars.
Yeah. You know what? I'm happy to say I love AD&D. I've played 5e. It's not really my thing. I develop 5e products, and I don't dislike 5e. I don't dislike the edition per se. It's just not my thing. And I can respect people who love the game,
Well, here's the thing that bugs me about edition wars. If let's say, let's say, I think Eric backed the Kickstarter for Dragon Slayer RPG.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I go over to Eric's house and they're saying, "Hey, you want to sit in?" And they hand me a character sheet. Sure, Dragon Slayer is going to be different. It's going to have some different wrinkles, but I can sit in and play that game even though I don't know it and it's not my game. And what's the big deal? Or if I go to a convention and I sign up for, Swords and Wizardry Light, which is what Eric Tenkar likes to run at conventions. And I just finally figured out the reason why was it's just stripped down to be really stripped down for convention play. Mm-hmm. And I finally figured out that was what the deal really was, me being dense. But it's close enough and we know the basics enough that you can just sit in and play it. So these edition wars, obviously 4th edition's really different from the other editions.
Well, 4th edition was like the really weird, the really strange one that was introduced. I don't even know what. I think they were going somewhere with it, but I think they realized very quickly. It's almost like they had a plan. It was going to be radically different. We have a target. We release it, and then all of a sudden, as soon as they released it, it was like one of those things where, we shouldn't have done that. I got an idea. Let's just abandon it.
Yeah.
It's. But you made a good point about something I want to add something to, and that is you said that, let's say you went over Eric's house and Eric was playing Dragon Slayer and he gave you a character sheet. But more importantly, there's something that could happen, and that is, I'll bet you, if you said, Eric, I just don't want to play this game, I don't like it, I'm willing to bet you the discussion would at least begin of going, well, can we play something else real quick? Because Tom doesn't like this game. Hey, anyone else want to play something different? The offer would probably be made to play something different. Because fundamentally, like even at my home, if you and Eric came over to my house and I wanted to play AD&D, and I was so set up for it, and you said, Don, listen, man, I don't like the game. I just ain't my jam. I'm not going to let you sit at the table and twiddle your thumbs. Well, what do you want to do, man? I got BX, man. I got 3.5. You guys want to real quick to grab something else? That is the thing about D&D as a whole that 99% of the gamers are like. The problem is it is the 1% of gamers who do the tribalism, but they're the loudest. So it makes it sound like there's more than there really are.
And well, here's the other thing is that I'm not going to get triggered. Like if we were driving by and we said, hey, we're going through Michigan, we happen to be in Battle Creek, let's just stop by Don's house and we'll do a pop in on you, and you were playing 5e, I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't stand 5e, I'm sorry. I would not do that. It's your house, it's your game, it's your table, and you're saying, hey, you want to sit in? I would say, yeah. If you handed me a character sheet, I would deal with the fact that it's those 5e character sheets tend to be 5 pages of abilities and powers. Tammy and I played in the 5e game. I didn't enjoy it, but we had fun because it was Peanuts meets Call of Cthulhu, use 5e rules, and we had fun nonetheless. I just didn't like the 5e character sheet.
But that's just the whole point about all of this, though, is that you know what? Yeah, and you're like the 99% that I truly believe are out there, and that is you are flexible, though, enough to have that respect. You're not going to just show up at my house and arbitrarily demand that something else be played because you don't like it. You will be flexible. And see, that's my big grievance with the gaming community as a whole. And I guess let me back up. My grievance is not with the gaming community. It is with the admins and moderators of a lot of gaming groups who tolerate that bullshit. Instead of going, listen, guys, here's our rules that we have posted. We're going to let people attack each other and be rude and be ignorant, even though it's a violation of the rules that we posted.
Yeah, that's definitely a grievance.
Exactly. And the thing is, there is again, the 99 versus the 1%. The 1% are very loud. They're the ones who are tribal. They're very loud. So they appear to be the majority, because a lot of people who are part of the 99% just step back and go, listen, man, I'm not going to step in this. I'm not going to get into this BS. I have my opinion, but I'm not going to fight with people over a game. So they stay quiet.
Well, in a lot of the gaming community on Facebook, you get somebody who will post a meme and it'll take a shot at, it could be a political or a social shit, or even just an addition war thing. And then everybody has got to chime in and punch back. And honestly, most of that is just, you got to just, I just let it go. Particularly if it's addition wars.
Yeah.
And it's like they want to shout people down. And I think Tammy's done this with me since I married her. Is you have an argument with your spouse, and at some point she'll say to me, "Do you want to be right or do you want to have peace?"
Exactly.
And more and more, I'm like, "I'll take peace." Argument over. Because you can't do both. If you're going to argue to be right, you can't have peace in that moment because you're arguing. And
also, have you ever met anybody in the history? Okay, I have been on Facebook since 2000, and I think it was 2004 or 5. So my question is this, and I've never seen this. Have you ever seen somebody go, "Oh, you changed my mind. I now agree with you"? No, because people become intractable. People, they put their foot down, and they're right. And I'll give, and I do this a lot, and I think you've seen me do this, where I'll make my opinion known. Like I'm human. Like I'll make my point, and there may be 4 or 5 people being either nice about it or being waspishly nasty about it, disagreeing with me, I walk away from it. I've had my say, because
Right.
I know no matter what I say, they're not going to go suddenly go, holy shit, Don, thank you for changing my mind. No, they're not going to do that.
I've only known one person to have their mind changed, and it was me. And it was over pit bulls. I had looked at statistics on pit bulls in the 1999, 2000, 2001 era, and it was statistics recorded by the FBI on or FBI or somebody on number of humans killed by dog breed. And pit bulls was always number one for like a 3-year span, and they were usually double what the breed it was at number 2. That breed was usually Rottweilers, and so I was like, yeah, I don't like pit bulls. I don't like the breed. I got a cousin who's a veterinarian, and she's always preaching the gospel of the pit bull. And so I just kind of, for a long time, really ignored Melanie, when she get on about pit bulls being such a good dog. And, but it sunk in, I kept seeing her post. And so finally I went and sent her a private message, say, Melanie, you've won me over. And, but it was an unusual thing, and it has nothing to do with gaming, but, it just was. So I do know one person, and it was me.
But the thing is, it has a lot to do with gaming, in the sense that, everything can interrelate with each other. It's like the same thing when you look at gaming, and it's the additional wars that we're talking about, just like people who make these. And again, I'm not trying to turn the show into something crazy, but I think it's really pertinent. It's where people go ahead and I saw this actually about a week ago. They were talking about Gary Gygax, and they were talking about how Gary Gygax, how it was back in the mid 70s and early 80s in gaming, and they were very, very. They were very steadfast and very pointed in what their firsthand knowledge. And I went to their profile, and it happened to be they were like a 19, 20-year-old young adult. And I came back at them, hi RPG Grandma, and I went ahead and I said, how can you competently talk about the way gaming was in the early 80s when it was 20 years before you were born? And they came back at me and said, because I know how people are back then. And I was like, well, I lived it. And I guarantee you, at the gaming tables that I was at, and I was at a lot of them, and especially in the early 80s, we never ran into these racism issues and all that. We never ran into people not being welcome at the table. And that's another grievance for this Festivus that I have is that, people don't realize something. And Tim Kask said this brilliantly on a show where he talked about, things that were socially acceptable back in 1975 are not socially acceptable today. Rightfully so, but why, more importantly, is the whys. And it's because society evolves and we grow as a society.
Yeah.
And and me and you're what, 55, 54?
I'm 55.
Okay, I just turned 56, so we're right there, same age, and you can attest to this. And if you disagree with me, please disagree. But my thing is I can look back at when I was 13, 14 years old, and things that I said in school to other kids, in jest, in joking only, that if my daughter, when she was 14 or 15 years old or 13, said it today, she would be suspended for a month. Because because the things that were okay back then are not okay now. And I'm not defending what I said back then, but back then it was socially acceptable. And that's why I mentioned on my video the other day that, and I mean this, that for those out there who are condemning that people like that, I will just say this to those of you who do that, and that is things that you say right now that are socially acceptable, that you will get praised on Twitter for saying or Facebook for saying. 20 years from now, you'll look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe I said that shit. I cannot believe I said those things.
Or if you still stand by those things 20 years from now, there'll be other people condemning
Yes.
you, judging
Yes.
you for saying them. I've said certain words, and let me get RPG Grandma's all the narratives in here about bigotry is total BS.
Yes.
I agree, but I grew up in the Air Force. As an Air Force brat, and
Army brat here.
And Air Force bases were just so integrated. And so, the guy next door was married to a Filipino, and and their kids were different. And then the next people were white, and then there was a black family, and then this guy across the way said he was an American Indian, and I don't know what his wife was, and their kids were a little dark. It was just
okay.
And what was important is like, hey, let's go ride our bikes in the woods and build a fort.
Absolutely.
The color was.
But the thing is, and I'm going to use a word here, and I'm just going to say the word that is offensive, but I'm going to use it to make a very valid point. Okay. Now, back when I was, and I'm going to use 13 as an example. Okay. If me and you were joking around, okay, I could say to you in front of a teacher even, oh, quit being retarded. I could say that.
Right.
Okay. And it would just like go bing off the shoulder leg. And even the teacher might go, yeah. But today.
I remember retard being a very common insult in elementary school.
Yes. But it was also a jesting joke, as with a friend. Now, today, if you said that, rightfully so, you could get in trouble in school. Seriously, it's not an appropriate word to use. I'm not condoning the use of the word,
right?
But it's a good word to use to make a point, and that is, we as a society change, and the problem is that if too many people in the gaming community are hung up on the past. Yes, we need to keep mindful of the past so we don't make those mistakes again. Absolutely. But it's weaponized too much. It's a big paintbrush that's used broadly going, "Oh, you're 55 years old, you're a gamer. It's all I need to know about you." No, you don't know me.
Well, I think it might actually be I wonder if it's the generation of people who have grown up with participation trophies.
I think that's part of it.
I wonder if that's connected to this. Oh, I'm a victim status. That it's. I wonder if these things are tied in that everybody should get everything, and I'm not. I'm not getting what you got, so therefore I'm a victim. And I'm like,
well, it's definitely tied into the new modern way that D&D has evolved as a game, because keep in mind, and we see this talked about all the time, is they talk about well, your version of D&D, I'll just call it old D&D just for sake of the conversation. The old school way of the old way of playing D&D. I get people all the time asking me, how could you have liked that game? I mean, dude, you could be like killed quick. Well, that's where I think the participation trophy mentality comes into play, because what you have is people now that play a game, a modern way of playing D&D, where you can start off effectively what's equivalent to like a 5th or a 6th level character, in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, you can start off very powerful. And it's that whole thing of, I want it now. I want all my powers now. And why do you have to die in a game? That you don't need to die. Well, you're talking about a game where fundamentally you're doing swords and sorcery, and you're fighting dragons, goblins, orcs, ogres, and kobolds. The death aspect of it is the check and balance system that's built into the game to make sure that A, it's semi-realistic, B, there's consequences for your actions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like all intertwined. That's why I say, if you like 5th edition, game on, my friend. Hell yes, play 5e and love it. Like I said, me and you talked about this last night. Remember? We were talking about creating 5e content for a certain project.
Right.
Why? Because my argument to you was that because we have to cater not only to, we want to cater to the guys who play older style gaming, but we also have to cater to the most popular version of the game out today, and that is 5e.
Well, let's get some comments in here.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out yet the terminology game. The belief that changing terminology makes a difference in how people treat each other. No, it doesn't. No, I'm gonna treat you good, regardless of what the terminology is.
Why am I gonna go ahead and I don't understand the mentality of how can you dislike somebody based upon an edition of a game that they play. I mean, Tom, think about the RPG Grandma, Naughty Professor, and whoever else is tuning into this. Think about the very notion of that. That is the equivalency of me saying, I'm going to dislike you because, I'm going to judge you and I'm going to dislike you based upon the kind of car you drive or the brand of coffee you drink.
Well, there are people that do that.
Yes, there are, and they're not right to do it. Because fundamentally,
drive the FJs.
Stop.
Hey, not me.
But that's just it, though. I mean, RPG Grandma hits a nail on the head with this. Is she says, I just had a PC die and the players want to play more of the deadly old school game. There has to be repercussions of your actions. I mean, if remember I made the thing about the 4-foot tall dwarf last night. If I've got a 15-foot pit across, there's no way as a dwarf I'm going to be able to jump over that pit. And if you're going to make the game where I can, then what's the fun in it? So the fun in the game is, okay, I'm a 4'8" dwarf. I can't get over that pit. So the fun comes in is I have to use the gray matter to figure out how to get around the problem.
Right.
And that's my biggest argument with D&D. People go all the time, what made D&D so popular? It's because D&D was the first game, that you could change the rules on the fly as you needed to, but also it was a thinking person's game. You had to really think the problem through. Oh my God, Joe, Tom the warrior just looked around the corner and he said there's 5 big orcs. There's only me, Tom, and Tammy. We're all first level fighters. What are we going to do? Well, Tammy, we're not going to rush in the room like you want to rush in and fight them. I'm picking on your wife because I know she's right there. But the thing is, what we're going to do is the idea is we think the problem through.
And I don't think you get a lot of that anymore. I mean, is there a 5e character sheet that lists a 10-foot pole on it?
I know well, in 5th edition, there are the standard equipment. Yes, there is. The problem is
use the 10-foot pole anymore.
Well, it depends. I mean, I'm sure that they do, but the innate problem with the whole system is that do I really need to have it based upon the game and the way the game is written and designed? No, I don't.
Yeah, it's really not needed anymore. So Naughty Professor says terminology isn't just changing in RPGs. I work in tech company and we use GIT, repository of code, that is so you might actually speak to this. I know you've been working with a lot of code. Main branch of the code is always called the master branch.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, What Git is an online. It's an online website where basically you can do task management. So you can have a team together. Remember, I talked about the task management system for developing games that I have.
Yeah.
That's basically a form of Git. It's basically where you can have a core group of people come in and they can work on a like in this case, Git specializes in coding and technology. So you can say, we want to create a video game. We can use Git to get a bunch of players together to develop that. They can see each other's code. They can communicate, that type of thing.
Yeah. So, and then he says, no longer allowed. We are now switching over to main for the branch name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And fun. It doesn't really change anything, though.
Fundamentally, no. But again, change in order for true change to take place, it has to be accepted. It has to be embraced. I remember when D20 system came out way back in the day, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is utter shit. The game is destroyed. They ruined D&D." Well, now it's like embraced. The D20 system is like embraced as it. I love the D20 system. I love the use of the D20. But
I remember in the 80s when like something new came out, we just all ran and bought it. We were excited to get something new. In part, you were hoping that the new box set you got had some more dice in it, because you just didn't even go into a bookstore and buy dice. They didn't have dice.
No, you had to buy if your dice are going to shit, you had to go buy a new game.
I actually rated the Yahtzee box for D6s.
Yeah.
I think I was walking to school one day and I saw somebody had thrown out a board game in the trash, and I'm opening it up and grabbing the dice.
Yeah.
But
Pop on Sue Fuller. Yeah, there you go. That's an interesting.
You want to read it?
Yeah, it says younger people don't understand consequences because they haven't had to face any. In reality, mommy and daddy attack the teachers when they say little Timmy, Jenny misbehaves or does poorly in class. Well, as a husband, my wife is a teacher.
Mine too.
Okay. And, do you want to comment on this? You want me to?
Well, I'm going to say that this, since we're airing grievances, this
Sure.
is one of the biggest things. I remember when the Tsarnaev brothers.
Real quick, Tom.
What?
I'll have to say this. Sue, thank you for commenting, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I remember when the Boston Marathon bombers, when they found out who they were, the one brother was killed, the other one was captured. And then here's the family going to reporters. But he's a good boy. I don't care if he's a good boy. He just blew people up. Okay. No, he's not a good boy. He's done something horrible. And we need to just call it what it is. And I just but he's a good boy thing. I hate that.
Yep. You have to, and that falls right back, I believe, right back to the core mentality of when it comes to gaming, is that what we have to do as a community. And again, I'll go right back to the admins and moderators of groups. Is I was a admin of one of the largest gaming groups. I'm not going to name it. One of the largest AD&D gaming groups out there. And I was removed as an admin. Why? Because I was enforcing the rules as they were written. And not only was I enforcing the rules as they're written, but one of the other admins didn't like me because of that. And I was removed as an admin. I'll tell you who it is when we're off here.
Why have rules if you're not going to enforce them?
That was my whole argument to the owner of the site. I was like, of the group, I was like, listen, I don't care if it's your best friend. If your best friend is violating the rules, we need to hold them accountable, because the problem here is that I understand that Facebook groups and social media groups are little fiefdoms. They're little kingdoms that these men and women have control of, And with control comes power. With power comes sometimes a little bit of warp. A
Yeah.
little bit of I'm getting at. But the thing is what Sue makes a good point about is just that, because my wife has ran into it many, many times where a child literally is melting down, flipping desks, being dangerous to other kids, and the parents are called in, and the first thing out of mom or dad's mouth is well, what did you do to make them do this? Oh, it's true. I mean, my wife's literally in the next room probably laughing over this. I mean, because that's exactly what it is. And I'm sure that Tammy has ran into this many, many times also.
Yeah.
And
Tammy's his behavior.
It is.
yeah, and it's when it comes to gaming, and again, this goes back to my big grievance with it is that when it comes to gaming is that we have to have self accountability. We have to be able to call out the bad behaviors. And we have, it's okay. And I'm going to mention the name. It's easy to point out people like Justin Lanasa. I'll just say it. Okay. But the thing is the responsible thing to do also is to call out Don Zamora when Don Zamora does something that violates the rules, or call out Don Zamora when Don Zamora does something that is not quite right.
Let me stop you there.
Sure.
Thinking about what you just said. If I have a problem with you, I'll take it to you privately.
Sure.
And there's been a couple of times where I've been like, hey, Don, privately between you and me,
Absolutely.
and brought something up. There was, and we try to resolve it there. Now, I have not done that with Justin Lanasa. Why? Well, because his response to anybody even questioning him is, you're blocked, or I'm going to use an alt, and sometimes he didn't actually use an alt. He actually used his social media platforms, the Dungeon Hobby Shop login on Facebook, to attack or to troll. And, so when you're dealing with somebody like that, that led to, hey, this guy over here, there's a problem here. And so that led to my reporting on him, which then led to...
Well, but that's my whole point to you I was getting ready to make was it's about accountability, because what you have to be able to do is not only should Tom and Eric and Kim Winson and David Floor call out Don when Don does something wrong, okay? But Don has to be willing to be self-accountable too and say, you know what, guys? You're right. I was wrong. And either make a apology for it, which I have on my own YouTube. You guys have seen it before. I've admitted when I was wrong, and you have to have that ability as a gamer on the gaming side to say, you know what, I made a bad call here. I judged Tom Veralt shallowly. I mean, I should not have judged Tom based on something because of a game he likes. I need to judge Tom on how Tom is to me. And I'll bring Eric up in this because Eric has commented, and I'll bring up and I'll say something publicly about Eric is, one thing about Eric that made me have the respect level I did with him was way back when I was just leaving the fold of TSR. Eric sent me an email, and he was like, I'm Eric Tenkar. You know who I am? And I was like, oh, I know who that guy is. Because drinking a Kool-Aid. And he said, I have a bunch of questions. Would you like to answer them? He asked me some tough questions, and I answered them. And Eric, please, if I'm wrong on this, call me out. I won't take offense to it. But I asked Eric in there. I said, hey, do you really need to vlog about some of this? Because really, what does some of this have to do with gaming? And Eric had the respect, but also the integrity to look at his own questions and go, you know what? You're right. There's a couple of these that don't really pertain to the core story that I'm doing. So he had the integrity to not only do what was right, but as the old saying goes, do what was right when nobody is watching. and he went ahead and he opted to not bring up those other couple of questions. I think it was like 1 or 2 questions. And
Yep.
there's where the key thing is. I think, again, we're talking about airing the grievances against people is, I think as a whole, as the community, we need to go ahead and we need to exercise more integrity as a group. You know?
Yeah, but that's a decision that it has to start with you.
Yes.
That it's
Personal.
It's a decision you got to make on your own.
Absolutely.
You've got to own it. And I love Eric. I love Eric because he's full of integrity. I really couldn't find. And I know he takes a lot of hits. People out there, oh, he he's not using his power for good.
They broad brush him. They use that wide paintbrush.
Definition of good is, well, my position, and and it gets back to that tribalism. And I had parents who were, one was a Democrat, one was a Republican.
Mhm.
And we still had peace in the house. They still loved each other. Nobody was evil.
No.
Okay. And everybody got along. People have different viewpoints. And Mom always liked David Letterman. I never liked David Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, to each their own. All right. Mom's going to go watch David Letterman in her bedroom. I'm going to stay in the living room and watch somebody else.
but there you go, right there. You just hit it right there. So basically, your mother is going to judge, or your dad, which they didn't. I'm just saying that people are going to judge another human being based on the TV show, the newscast they're watching, or the game edition they're playing. Because again, this bugs me. Fundamentally, think about this, everybody. You're going, and I'm not saying everyone here does this. I'm just saying, in general, how can you judge somebody to the negative because of a game they play, a version of a game? Now, if they're like, and I'm just going to say this bluntly because the guy is a lying piece of shit. If you're going to be a Dave Johnson and you're going to be a card-carrying neo-Nazi, which he is, because I'm going off what he posted publicly.
Yep.
Okay, if you're going to be a card-carrying Nazi that thinks it's funny sticking Jews in ovens, well, as a person who had relatives be burned alive at Treblinka, okay, I take offense to that. Okay, you deserve to be judged because you are putting out there publicly your nasty thoughts. But if you didn't know that about Dave Johnson, and Dave Johnson is a card-carrying lover of AD&D, you got no reason to be thinking ill of Dave Johnson. It's by personal example. I'm not going to dislike you because who you voted for. I'm not going to dislike you because, the game edition you like. I'm going to judge Tom Verold based upon Tom's actions towards me, Tom's public actions towards other people. You know what I mean? That's how I'm going to judge you.
That's a good standard, And what's the old saying? Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely, they do.
Let's get 10 cars a comment in here. Reward without work or risk has little value. You value what you earn more than what is given to you for free. That is so true. That when something's free, you don't respect it. But if it costs you something, then it's got value to you. And that is absolutely so true.
Yep.
And RPG Grandma said, my 5e PC always has a big long stick because I questioned the 10-foot pole.
Well, the thing is, because RPG Grandma, I mean, don't take me wrong here. I'm going off your name. I take it that you're an older lady.
She's about our age.
Yeah, she's RPG Grandma. I mean, I'm just going off her name.
She's got to be our age.
So if RPG Grandma, you've been playing D&D, I take it, for quite a long time, like me and Tom have in company. You know what? Why do you carry a big long stick? Because in your experience, you've learned a big stick comes in handy. Mock me if you will, 5e younger players, but I'll tell you what.
Tap that square 10 feet away.
Absolutely.
There's the pit trap.
That's right.
Removing a bunch of common words from the English language won't make people not racist, especially if I have to listen to dribble about why the use of actual racial slurs is allowed by certain groups. You know, this really just gets into 1984 and George Orwell and Newspeak.
Yep.
And, you know,
I have to ask RPG Grandma, please comment. Are you going to be a Gary Con RPG Grandma? Just real quick. I'm looking at your comment at the very bottom. Are you going to be a Gary Con, yes or no?
yeah, we'll have to scroll
I'm
down.
hopefully she'll answer.
Oh, she's saying yes, older than us. Okay.
Okay.
And if you get on the net, you attack people. That's what they experience.
So, Gary Con, RPG Grandma, are you going to be at Gary Con? I have a reason for me asking.
Because you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. RPG Grandma will say it like this. No, never go to cons. Oh, bummer. Well, I'm going to tell everybody here one thing. I'm going to be at Gary Con this year, the Wizard Tower Games booth. I'm going to tell you all right now, I would love to meet up with whoever wants to, and everybody, let's go out and have some dinner together one night. You know what I mean? I'll buy the first round of drinks is on me and my wife, and I would love to go out and have dinner with everybody and just sit down and put a lot of faces to a lot of names and just meet a lot of you people, because knocking the differences aside, I'll tell you something. I have met in the last year and a half so many good freaking people, starting with the man that's on camera with me right now and his wife, Eric Tenkar, Roderick Weibel. I can go right on down the line and name the people that are damn good people. David Floor, Kim Winson, RPG Grandma. I mean, I can go just right on down the line, and I would be honored to be able to go out and have a drink with whoever shows up there at Gary Con, and just no politics, just sitting down, having a drink or two, having some pizza or dinner, and just enjoying some really good people's company.
You know, there's something to sitting down and breaking bread. And I heard this story from Ronald Reagan that I just thought was really cool. It was a story. Somebody had written a biography of him, and they were telling this story in an interview, and they had interviewed this member of Congress who was a Democrat who just got elected, but they got an audience with the president to go, meet the president. They're newly elected, and so they go in there and they're being sociable, and the guy makes a deprecating response about, we're not, we're enemies, because Reagan was a Republican and this guy was a Democrat, and Reagan said, not after 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, we have a beer together.
Yeah.
And that was why he was such the great communicator. And I think that was the secret of his effectiveness as a president, was that, look, I don't care if you disagree with me, but after 5 o'clock, we're having a beer together. And I just, I think there's a power to sitting down with somebody and having a beer, sharing some pizza, the classic term, breaking bread, if you will. But Naughty Professor here says, I get miffed when a publisher requests people submit ideas, but then doesn't follow up when someone responds, even when follow-up emails are sent.
Okay, let me address that, because I think I'm guilty of that too. Okay, because I a couple months ago made a request for short stories to be submitted on a project called the Lost Lair of the Kobold King. Now, just to show something here.
I remember that now.
Yep. Sometimes things are not as they appear, and I'm going to show you something. Because this was the responses we got. And if you notice, there are 3 stacks here. These take a lot of time to go through. I thought I was going to get 10 or 15. We got 160.
Oof.
Yeah. And the thing is having to read these things, and then I read them, and then my wife reads them. We judge them on a level of 1 to 3. And I get the frustration from the Naughty Professor, because sometimes it seems like what you're doing is you're ignoring people. But like in our case, definitively quite the opposite. We weren't ignoring people. What we were trying to do I don't know, I guess I don't like letting people down. I don't like hurting people's feelings. And I know when they submit their work to you, they really are thinking that, hey, I did something here. So what I really think sucks, but it's part of the job, is, and the reason why it's kind of on my desk right now, if you notice, it's right next to me, because we finally got through them all, and we are literally got the 1, 2, 3 pile. You know, the ones basically mean it's just not going to work with us. The twos mean, well, not bad. We can not for this project, but you got what we think could be used for later on. And then we have the threes, which is what we really want to work with people, and we want you on the project. So sometimes, Naughty Professor, it seems like I think you're getting ignored, and I get the frustration. And and I'll say this publicly, if I in any way give the appearance to anybody watching this video that we at Wizard Tower Games are ignoring you and you've submitted a submission to us, quite the opposite. We're actually very, very emotionally torn, because this week we are starting off sending the emails right after Christmas. On the 26th, they're going to start. And I know that we're going to let a lot of people down. We're going to make a lot of people's day, because they're going to get that email saying we'd love to work with you. But we're also sadly going to have to send those emails out just saying, at this time, you're just not a good fit. And that's the thing that sucks about this, is because, and I think you know me well enough, Tom, I don't like smacking somebody down. I really don't. I wish we could use them all.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, Naughty Professor, I understand you getting miffed. I get you, but keep in mind, it's not always because we're just sitting back, or a publisher in general is just sitting back going, yeah, screw on.
And let me speak to this a little bit, because I know something that's going on with Naughty Professor. He actually clued me in about a Kickstarter that's I did a video on it recently, that they funded and then just blew off their backers, and used the they developed this game.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah. So, and I know he has sent responses to them, and they've just not responded. And, in fact, I think I just asked him recently, I says, did you hear back from them after I did a video on them? Because I thought maybe if I did a video, that would shake them loose and they might do the right thing. Because in the end, they had developed this product, but then developed it for a different rule set, because Pathfinder had moved on.
That's a shitty thing. As one publisher, I don't care who they are, that's a shitty thing to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could go and buy that product for $20, and he's already paid or $25. He's already paid $25 for the PDF, but he's got to pay another $5 to get the PDF.
Which is talking about pet peeves. You know what? We have a Kickstarter that funded D20 Delving,
right.
And because of very unique reasons, we have not fulfilled it yet, and we are very late. But we do updates on the Kickstarter. Number one. Number two, you know what? I'll be damned if anybody's going to be asked to pay another dime. You bought it. We will honor our Kickstarter. And I see this so much with publishers, is they almost use it as a bribe. Like, oh, you want it? Well, you got no choice. You're either going to pay or you're not getting it. How's that? And it's like, come on, man. I mean, again, my favorite quote ever is integrity. Integrity is not what you do when people are looking. It is what you do when people are not looking. That's what true integrity is. And these people out there, like this company, and I'll call them out flat off. I got no problem, because they're freaking wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I can see being late. We're late. I'm embarrassed to say it. I really am. I really hate saying it, but I'm not basically laying ultimatums on people saying, well, if you want your game, you better pay us more money, because it's not about that. Guess
Well-
what? Eat it. It's a PDF, dude. It's another thing. It's a freaking PDF.
It's
Eat
exactly.
it.
And they took the money. They used the money to develop that material. They should just give it to the
Dude,
to the players.
and this is the thing about legal thing people don't realize. And this is where a lot of people get in trouble. Do you know where the money for D20 delving is right now? It's in an escrow account.
Well, you know what?
Because that's the legal way you do it.
Because you're in a situation where you kind of can't say too much about somebody. Because I backed D20 delving twice. I'm not worried about it, but I happen to know why it's delayed. That you ordered paper from China, and then somebody anonymously.
No. What happened was we ordered paper, we got it, and it was damaged. It was basically water damage. But smart enough, I ordered games from China, is what I did. And we ordered games because of stopgap measure, just in case.
Right.
Thankfully, I did it. Well, the games were shipped properly by our manufacturer in China. But U.S. Customs or Department of Homeland Security received a series of anonymous tips indicating that the container coming for a product for Wizard Tower Games, because we're legit. We have an importation ID number. We're not half-assed here. We just don't order it and do a overseas shipping. We have an importer number. So we're on file with the feds. Okay.
Yep.
What they did is they reported our company as saying we're going to be smuggling in illicit material. So what Department of Homeland Security did, U.S. Customs did, is what they're supposed to do.
They got to do their due diligence.
Absolutely. Well, the problem is, what people don't realize is, for those of you who have never been to a United States Customs holding facility, remember that show Raiders of the Lost Ark? And at the very end, they have that warehouse with the crates.
So,
no joke. That's what it freaking looks like at a U.S. Customs holding facility.
So D20 delving is stored somewhere next to the Lost Ark.
Yeah, you never know. Lost Ark, the Crystal Skull. Hell, I don't know. Could be. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So this. So that actually brings me to a grievance that I have, and it is with either the Joker himself or somebody in his crew, because everything's done anonymously. And
anonymously. Oh, we just put a new word in English. Hey, Eric, write that down. Anonymously.
Here's my grievance, and you're going to say, "Oh, Tom, you always have a beef with him." No, here it is that, there's this saying about when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging.
Yep.
And just the other week, I was saying, we haven't heard from so and so or his posse recently, and then bang. Tim Cass got trolled on his video. You got
horribly trolled, Tim.
You got trolled actually just this week, and it's the same old stuff. It's I didn't even bother reporting on it, and it's I'm like, dude, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, and he's just digging the hole deeper. And, my beef with whoever it is using these alts to troll Tim Cass, to troll you, to, file these fake reports with customs and immigration.
Customs and all that.
They're just digging the hole. You keep at it, and it's not getting you the result you want. And all you're doing is digging your hole deeper because everybody suspects who it is.
Yep.
And your name is always going to be mud in the gaming community.
Yep.
So that's definitely a grievance I have. Sue Fuller says, wow, took some balls to report a false claim like that. Yeah. I do believe you were told that you had to destroy evidence contrary to your subpoena. And when you refused to do that, you were told, you're in for a ride.
To clarify, and I can clarify this legally, I was asked by an individual via phone call that when I received my subpoenas, I was asked to delete emails, delete PMs, texts, that type of thing, Discord communications. I'm not going to name the individual, but the individual asked me to delete all that material because they did not want that material landing in the hands of Wizards of the Coast. And when I said I can't do that because it would put me at legal jeopardy,
Right.
because at that time I didn't know how it went. As far as I know, they could get a subpoena and grab my information from my computer. I didn't know. This individual did explode and let me know, and I will give the direct quote, "Hold on for the ride."
Yeah. And you've been on a ride.
I've been on a ride.
And
Me and my wife both have, sadly.
So, this is why, like, even though I've backed D20 Delving for 2 games, one for a family member and one for myself, I'm not worried about it. I know it's going to get here. I just know that there's a lot of unforeseen circumstances, biting you in the butt. So Customs is Warehouse 13. That was a great quote.
Area 51.
Yeah. And dude tried threatening me. Way bad idea. Yeah, I would say probably not good. I believe RPG Grandma's a black belt. I think I've seen you and your husband and your karate gis. So I would not threaten anybody with a black belt.
No.
Not what I would consider smart.
RPG Grandma, tell you what, you got my respect. I'm never going to go ahead and go attack you. Because I'll admit, I'm 56 years old. I'm fat and bald. I'm out of shape.
So one other, I have one other beef, and it's with, black belt, range safety officer. Oh, there we go. Second Amendment. Yeah, I wouldn't, just don't mess with people. And why? Why do you got to
have respect for people? You don't need to freaking all the time attack people. Why?
Why? When I lived in Boston, everybody drives a certain way. Everybody's rude to everybody. And I come up to Maine and I'm like, man, everybody's so polite up here. And then I realized Maine has the highest per capita gun ownership of the whole country.
Tom,
more per person in Maine.
Tom, we have a visitor.
Oh, do we? Oh. So, yeah, just dude. We don't know who they are, but we have suspicions. Nod and wink.
You know what? I'm gonna say something right here. I'm just gonna say this. Just dude. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this out here. You know what? You like attacking women. You like attacking kids. You like attacking dead people. You like attacking wives. I'm making an offer to you. At GaryCon, swing by my table at GaryCon. Let me know who you are, and I'll be glad to take you out for a drink. Because you're a piece of walking trash. You know what? RPG Grandma, I don't know you, ma'am, but I'll tell you what. That woman, I'm willing to bet, has more integrity in her toenail clippings than this piece of garbage, walking human garbage, does. And I'm waiting for you right now, Just Dude. Why don't you go ahead and comment about me and Tom? But you're not. You're attacking a woman. Where's the comment me and Tom? I'm waiting for him.
Yeah. Well, this is what he does. This is what he does. But
Pisses
you know
me off.
I was kind of waiting to let me do a screen share here, and let me just say one of my grievances, and it's with Wizards of the Coast legal team. You hold on there. So I don't know if I can blow this up. This was an early email that I got a hold of, and it was sent to you, and it said it's from Anonymous, and it says, if you want to shaming past of yours to stop, then stop your likes about TSR Hobbies and Justin Lanassa. It will get worse, really worse. If you agree to stop giving lies and info to wizards,
Yeah.
it will all stop. You will continue. If you continue to give info, more of your past will be spread all over. You were
Ooh.
told, go woke, go broke, stop cooperating with WotC. FYI, this is not TSR Hobbies and Justin Lanassa. I just help him. So now this was early, and the date was
Got another account, loser.
so here's my beef is this is so blackmail and extortion. And this is so outrageous. And we've kind of lived with these anonymous emails, both you and I. I've not gotten one lately, but that you kind of get numb to them a little bit. And I was looking through my files. This is from very early in the process. And my grievance is with Wizards of the Coast legal team. They need to get off their butt. This is monstrous. This is blackmail of a witness, and this should be prosecuted. And we don't know who it is, but they should. The buck stops with the guy at the top. They should bring charges against him, and if he knows who it is, he could then drop the dime. That's how it's done in Law and Order. And you lean on one guy to get the name of the real culprit. And I think charges should have been brought. And so I have a grievance with WotC.
Well, my thing is this is why I have faith in the system. Because think about this. I'm going to give you a scenario, okay? The scenario is this. Can you imagine Dave Johnson in a room, okay? And Dave Johnson is in a room and he's being given the ultimatums. You think Dave Johnson's going to be stand by your buddy? He's going to chirp like a bird, man. Chirp, 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 chirp is what he's going to do. So more power to him. These people, you know what I have faith in? The system. Sooner or later, they'll deal with them.
Oh, well, we just put, Just Dude into timeout.
Good.
So it was, I accidentally banned him, which then removed his comments. But I put him on the screen to preserve him so that we do have a record that he was
Just
there.
Dude, you're a bad little boy and you're being treated like one.
No.
You're being treated like the immature, unlike child that you are.
So, there was a bit of news, and I had not covered this week, and I really wanted to cover it, but hold on. Let me throw this up on the screen. And I didn't cover
Tom.
Yes.
I got to take a 5-minute break. I've read this. You cover it. I'll be right back.
It works, but it's slow. So yes, RPG Grandma, this is a great comment by you in light of the fact we're going to be covering this. This letter was filed. This was filed by the. Was this the letter? I might have the wrong one. Oh, good God. So. I'll just report on it without the actual letter. This week, there was a letter filed that turned up in the legal database, and Justin Lanassa was deposed in court in the libel case by Faber, Schneider, and Ferrari LLP, which is Eric's. And he agreed to have Justin's lawyer, Bernard Kleinman, agreed to have Justin deposed, but failed to horse trade to get a deposition on Eric Tenkar. Now, I've talked with people, and they're like, I have no idea what he was thinking legally. It's not how you do this, but they agreed to have Justin deposed, and it failed to demand a concession on the other side. It was just, this is what incompetence looks like. That this is the quality of lawyer that he has hired to represent himself, and it's just a clown show there going on. And good luck getting Eric's lawyers to agree to have him deposed at this point. They have no reason to. So it just the chickens are coming home to roost in these legal cases, and sooner or later they're going to be over. 2023 is going to be the year that we look back and say that was the year we turned the corner when he filed for bankruptcy, because that's the domino that has started them all falling. 2024, I really think, is going to be the year that we put case closed on this and get it, behind us and behind the gaming community. And it's just crazy that, I do see the word deposition in here in this letter, but he absolutely failed to horse trade to get Eric deposed, and good luck getting that now. I refused to report on it earlier in the week because I actually wanted, based off his performance in the bankruptcy case, I really wanted him to walk in there fat, dumb, and cocky, and run into a quality lawyer, which is, when you read these letters that are filed by Eric's lawyers, when you read them, these guys got brain matter going. They are smart. And so I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in that deposition, was not able to, legal proceedings. I think that stuff was kept close and private, but I bet it was good. I bet it was real good. So sad thing is he isn't taking our advice and stopping this behavior before he's lost everything. Again, that is my big beef with him now. It's not that he tried to scam WotC with a trademark squat. It's, or that he screwed over pre-sale people who, pre-ordered, or that he's antagonized fans. It's that he keeps digging the hole. And I'm like, dude, at some point you got to stop. You just got to stop. It's just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. He just wants to be bitter and attack everyone. He was doing that in 2001. That was going on in 2021, not 2001.
We're still talking about Just Dude.
Yeah. Stupid is and stupid does. Yeah.
Remember when his yard signs were being taken? His re-election yard signs. He tried to make this big federal matter about how it's election interference and all that. But
that happens. I watched that going on in here in Maine. People put out one family puts out a Biden sign, another family puts out a Trump sign, and then they're going in each other's yards and stealing the signs. And I'm like, just grow up.
Yeah,
he can put out their Biden sign, he can put out his Trump sign.
Doesn't matter.
It's free speech. Yeah.
So other than that, I got an idea. Why don't we forego the bug and let's talk about other things?
What is your biggest gripe with people at the gaming table? Somebody comes to the gaming table and they get on your nerves. What is the biggest grievance you have?
Like for the community and such?
Well, not in general, but you're sitting down at a table and it's do you have one?
One of my gripes is I don't like people who show up at a gaming table and they're not prepared. Like they don't bring, they're coming to game, but they don't bring paper. They don't bring a pen or a pencil. They don't bring dice. Rule lawyers. Oh, how I don't like that type of stuff.
And rule lawyers who will they like to take advantage of a rule and do a gotcha on you. And I'm thinking specifically wargaming. Some of my first experiences with the Wargaming Club was a particular guy. I didn't realize he was a rules lawyer, and he was, and I was used to my first experiences of where it was just gentleman's rules. Yeah, you know, it's like a quarter inch. Yeah, go ahead and count it. You know, yeah, and it was very much gentleman's rules. But then I played a game against this one guy. I didn't know he was a rules lawyer, and oh man, he was using the rules, to for the best advantage to win, and he was just being a jerk about it. And so yeah, I do not like rules lawyers. RPG grandma, backseat drivers. Is this because you drive a bus? I'm driving a van for the school system, and one of my kids, he's constantly lying to me, going, my house is that way. It's not that way.
Yeah. Fiatus makes a really good one here.
Oh, here we go. Biggest gripe: people who can't take setbacks due to their party's actions and negative consequences. Yeah,
that's a big one for me. It's like, listen, it's not always going to go your way. You know what? Bad things are going to happen. And you know what? We're a slave to the dice.
When I first got back to when I first went back to playing RPGs, I found a group. I said, hey, I haven't played since the 1980s. Can I sit in with you? And I had to learn about 3.5. I'm like, why is it 3.5? And they're like, because there was a 3. So I had a lot to learn. And one of the players, I was not enjoying 3.5, and and so I was hey, let's try something new. 3.5, it slogs, the combat takes forever, and I was told that we had to that he had when the third edition came out, because he had been in his 30s, his mid-late 30s, and he had money. He bought every single thing that ever came out, and so we had to actually game with every single thing. He bought $3,000 worth of D&D supplements, and we had to game through every single module and adventure he had bought before we could try a new system. $3,000, and I'm sitting there going, I didn't spend $3,000 on supplements, and this is getting painful. These sessions are getting painful. I want a game with you guys, but I just was like, yeah, I know. After a while, I just couldn't do it anymore, and I dropped out. And they were mad with me. We let you join our game, and I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm hating coming to game night because of how bad it slogs. I just don't want to play this anymore. And so that was one of my biggest gripes.
All right.
So
can I talk about one of my biggest gripes?
Go right ahead.
All right. It is when you go on. This is a publisher gripe.
Okay, here we go. Buckle up.
Well, this is a publisher gripe. It's when you go online and you say, here is a page in our role-playing game. And you get someone that comes in, they go, oh, you're using AI. And you go, no, that's not AI. And they begin. I don't believe that. That's got to be AI. And you're like, no, Dan Forsyth drew that, or so-and-so drew that, or even I did. No, that's AI. And they just don't give up. They like keep on you because of, I call it AI paranoia. And it's like, no, this is not AI. I mean, this is legit. I mean, and they're like, well, show me all your Photoshop files with all the individual layers. No, I mean, I'm not on trial here.
That's pretty crash, but No,
you get it all the time though, Tom. I'm not joking. That's the first thing you do. Well, show me the design files. It's like, no. But that's a big pet peeve of mine in a gripe, is being accused of using AI when you're not using AI.
Yeah. Well, I have yet to be accused of using AI. I've made a very public commitment to not use it in the fan magazine. That's not come yet. RPG Grandma says, oh, wait a minute. We never read Super. The dice giveth, the dice taketh away. But without the dice, it would be the DM controlling everything. The dice can mess up DM plans as well as players can. Absolutely. And I actually welcome that because fun things happen. And I'll never forget running. I was online. We were with Theater of the Mind, and one of the players took a long range laser rifle shot and rolled well. And they took the shot at this air car taking off. And so they then rolled on the damage table and got the absolute worst result, which was crash and burn. And the air car fell out of the sky. And then the players were cracking jokes about that the air car fell on a school field trip of kids. And they were just cracking jokes on this whole thing. And it was totally unexpected. And it absolutely kind of destroyed my adventure. And it was great. And it only happened because the dice dictated that. And I absolutely, one of my favorite moments.
Well, let me show you a piece of art that I got accused of being AI. Okay.
Sure, bring it up.
And it's not.
I'm going to run through some comments while you're bringing that up. So RPG Grandma says she likes her games Fast and Furious.
I think you have it.
Oh, here it is.
Yep. That's directly from my design software. We're doing a page. Don't worry about the description. It's actually not a proper description, but that's not AI. And I actually had that up for about an hour the other day on Facebook, and I took it down because I literally was hammered on it.
Yeah. Well,
it's not AI. That's not AI. And I keep getting accused of it. It's like, I there's elements in there that are not, let me back up. It's not AI. Now, it's not all one image. The mage is different than the cauldron. The smoke and the wisps from the cauldron are different from the cauldron. I mean, there's lots of elements within it, but there's nothing AI on this. And I got hammered for it. I'm like, freaking seriously, people, come on, and because I went ahead and I made a commitment. I mean, I've made a very public commitment that we're going to, until the technology is better, not described, how do I put this? Until the technology is better defined, I don't feel comfortable using AI. I got nothing innately against AI as long as it doesn't, and it's proven that it doesn't use other people's artwork. Because I wouldn't, I mean, although I'd love to have Larry Elmore do artwork for us, I would not feel comfortable utilizing a software program that might take Larry Elmore's work and mumbo jumbo it and bring it in. Now, I will say for the record that if AI ever gets to a point where, no, it's been definitively through software and through laws that it doesn't use other people's art and it's just computer generated, sure, what's wrong with using AI? Just notate it as AI.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, until there's some regulation or the court cases that are working their slow way through the courts, and there's rulings in favor of artists, I'm not going to use AI. And here's the thing, I made this commitment, and then I've got more artists helping out with the magazine with great artwork. I'm like, way, I'm awash in artwork, and I remember the days when we started the Frontier Explorer, and I was begging for artwork.
Yeah,
I was the art editor, and it was my job to find art for the articles, and I was like begging artists, and it was miserable, and and then people treated you like you were being, and I'm like, hey, no, I was just asking, do you mind? Well, if you mind, fine. But
I will call out. I have to, we like calling out the bad. We all love talking about the bad actors. I want to mention a good actor in gaming. The man's name is Matt Forsythe. He is from New Zealand. Matt Forsyth, back when I first started Wizard Tower Games, and I wasn't jack shit. Nobody knew who the hell I was, and I didn't have any budget for nothing. I approached him one day, and this tells you the caliber of what's out there available of decent human freaking beings. Is I went to him and I said, I'm a fan of yours. I saw him on ArtStation. And I said, I love your artwork. I'm a new publishing company. I don't have any money hardly to devote to artwork. Would you let me use this piece of art? I'll cite you. I can give you maybe like $1 or $2 per unit sold. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. His response was, you use anything that I have in my gallery for free. You just cite me, but just don't use the following pieces because they're for specialized projects or for because he does work for Wizard of the Coast, Magic the Gathering. He said, other than that, you use anything that you need to, Don, for free. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the caliber of people that we have in our gaming community.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. And, to be able to tell somebody, you use anything that I have, just follow some basic rules. I mean, I just sit here and I think about it, and I'm still mind blown about it, because he had no reason to help me. He could have been like so many were before him telling me no. How much can you give me? I want money. And I get it. I want money too. I don't want to give my stuff away for free.
Right.
But I've also helped people for free. I've helped people doing stuff for them and not charged a dime. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. And there's nothing wrong with donating your services to help somebody when they're trying to do something good and noble.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And that's that. I'm sorry, but his name is Matt Forsyth. He is on ArtStation. He is a hell of a guy. Yeah, hell of a guy. Hell of an artist.
I want to address this one comment from RPG Grandma. She says, I like my games fast and furious. And I know from an earlier comment that you play 5e or you DM 5e. So how do you keep 5e moving fast? Because as I understand it, the combats aren't all that much faster than 3.5. So I would be very curious, what is the secret to keeping 5e going fast and furious? Because my experiences playing it have kind of turned me off to it.
Tom, do me a favor. I just messaged you on Facebook. Just you don't need to yes or no it, but that's just I'm wondering something, because some outside ideas can be implemented very easily if that's done. Maybe you want to drop a message. Don't know what you feel about that. It's your show. Your show, my friend. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Sure. So RPG Grandma, you say you change 5e. I mean, do you have a camera? Can we invite you on the show? I would really love to hear your comments on this. Gotta go.
Yeah, where you can talk to us and tell us about your process. We would love to hear it.
Maybe we should table this for another time. This sounds like it would be a show we really should explore. I would be really interested because, again, I've played 5e and I did not enjoy it.
Yes, another day, she says.
Yeah, absolutely.
RPG Grandma, just as somebody who admires you, I admire what you stand up for, and I admire you come into my videos and you contribute, and it's greatly appreciated. I personally also, along with Tom, would love to jointly talk to you with Tom and get your processes, your ideas, your knowledge. I think that you could offer a hell of a lot to a video in the community.
Well, I've known RPG Grandma for a long time under another name in another forum, and so she's just one of the gems in the hobby. She's a good person.
Absolutely, she is.
Took in some kids that were not hers, not her grandchildren. They were, within her family that needed to be taken in, and so they've been using a lot of RPG in the house. And I just, but I've been a fan of hers because she wrote for the magazine and gave me good content to publish. So,
well, she makes another comment. She says,
"Fastest way to my heart."
Tom, in one of her earlier comments at 7:19 p.m., she asked a question. She says, "Poor sites drive me nuts." As somebody who does website design, in fact, I'm doing Eric and Rachel's website. I agree. I think that really with websites, you have to have a flow to it. They have to have a feel, a vibe. Something as odd sounding as you got to have a color that matches the vibe and the subject matter that the website's dedicated to.
I remember finding a Star Frontiers website where they did the whole background in black, and there were like some stars faded in there, and then they did the words in white letters, and it was in between the font and the point size, it was tough to read. And so what I did was copied and pasted it, and then changed it, put it in a Word doc, and then changed the colors of the letters to black so I could read it on a white page. And I'm such a big Star Frontiers nerd. I was so excited to find this webpage, but it was so obnoxious. I was like, oh God, I hate this. And and I'm still friends with the guy today, but I was like, oh dude, I hate what you did with this. And
but that's just it. Art, you make a lot of good points there, and that is, things like font, color, font size, they matter. And we have an added dynamic now. Back in the day when I first started doing web design, you had to worry about this, at the biggest, this 27-inch box, that's sitting in front of you. Now we have up to 38 and 40-inch screens, but also,
you got to format the iPhone.
And responsiveness is you use a thing called CSS, cascading style sheets. That's kind of like a code to kind of bring them to where when it senses an iPhone, the dimensions, it does its thing. But, color, font, all that matters because, the last thing you want somebody to do is like you did. You go to the website and go, oh, and you get out of it. You won't go back to it. You're done.
Yeah.
First impressions.
Yeah.
Sue Fuller. I've stopped playing video. I've stopped playing a video game because they changed the font to something I can't stand. Yeah, exactly.
When I come across something I can't stand and I make a decision against that thing, I'm done. So definitely there. Well, we've gone on for an hour and a half, and there's been, I just want to thank everybody for coming on the show and commenting, and wish everybody a happy Festivus. I thought this would be a fun thing just to air our grievances and talk about the things that bother us in gaming, and we got a show idea out of it. I really do think we're gonna have to get RPG Grandma on sometime and have her talk about how she speeds up 5e. Keeps it fast and furious. I would really be interested in that because my stepson plays 5e, and and I've kind of hinted about the OSR, but he's not taken those. He's not nibbled at the worm. He's not nibbled at the bait so much. But it's okay because I very much believe you play what you like. Just play what you like,
Tom,
and
that's the core of it. I think. Play what you like, enjoy what you enjoy. But on behalf of me, though, I want to say something. On behalf of me, Wizard Tower Games, and me and my wife, Tina, personally, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Happy Festivus, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. We really wish everybody the best in the coming year. And we really hope that people sit there and maybe make 2024, a little positive.
I was going to say that.
Cheers.
here's to a better 2024.
Well,
So again, thanks everybody for coming on. And this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room with Don Samore from Wizard Tower Games signing out. And you all have a happy holiday season.
happy holidays.